Welcome to No Notes. I'm Colby.
And I'm Alex.
And welcome back to this week's episode.
Welcome back. You know what? I just realized that you're wearing something kind of cute, which is out of the ordinary.
Always.
You're wearing like it has a butterfly patches on it.
Mm-hmm. They're embroidered butterflies.
Oh, cute. Where is it from?
Valentino.
Oh, is it fake?
Yes. No, I'm just kidding. It is old Valentino though. Like, I don't know, 2015 or something.
Really cute. Wow.
Thank you. It is a little more your style. It's kind of Bodhi-esque.
Yeah. That's what
you love an embroidery.
I do.
What is it about embroidery that you love so much?
I think it just because it can take any ordinary garment and just kind of like make it whimsical. It's kind of cute.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Give it like a different spin.
Does it just speak to your childlike wonder?
Mm-hmm.
It's the simple brain.
Yeah. Colors and everything. How was your weekend?
It's been really lovely. The weather here is fantastic.
I'm telling you, global warming.
Mm-hmm. It's going to make San Francisco the nicest city
ever, because it's like it's making it livable for the first time.
It is. Yeah, no, it's been really pleasant. I've been doing a bunch of things around the house, which is nice. I feel like we've been doing a lot lately.
Yeah.
And I just needed some downtime.
I feel like between this week was like the first week where I'm not going to be really doing anything between now and 4th of July.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so looking forward to that.
Well, you could choose to. Get back to me. So I did go see Sasquatch Sunset this week.
How was it?
Terrible.
Oh no. Wait, it got only mediocre reviews.
Yeah. Well, that's basically how it was. We took 10 milligram edibles too, so it should have been hysterical. And it was just very subpar. There were some moments in it that were hysterical, but they were far and few between.
Oh no. Who'd you see it with?
Ty and Semi. Which Semi, of course, didn't understand anything because he's French.
Yeah.
He's like, what is this Sasquatch?
Yeah. I'm honestly impressed that he could pronounce it.
I think he was lost the whole time. He's like, where are we?
Yeah.
It was not worth seeing. Don't recommend it.
Oh, sad.
What did you do this week?
I just worked, and then Friday went to a Glamcox party. Shout out to Trey and Kevin. We got to see Trey perform. He did like a little dance number to a couple of Troye Sivan songs.
Oh, cute.
Really cute. And, Glamcox always does it well. They always have like great music, and just, it's such a heavenly vibe.
I agree with that.
It's always just like so lighthearted. It's colorful.
Ethereal.
It's very ethereal, and the theme was like springtime, so everyone was like in florals. There was
For
like
spring.
Revolutionary, groundbreaking. But it was it was cute. We were there for a couple of hours, and then yesterday was 420.
It was.
So I took an edible and went to go see Hairspray.
I'm sorry.
No, it was fun. It was cute.
What theater was Hairspray playing at?
It's the Orpheum.
I don't know if I've been to that one.
Yeah, it's like one of the older ones. So when you go inside, it looks all intricate. The ceiling is all. Mm-hmm. You could never make that now because it'd be too expensive. But it's all wooden.
How long is that production?
If I would have to say, my biggest complaint was, it was over 2.5 hours. Started at 7:30 and we all got out at 10 with the intermission.
Okay, there was an intermission. Yeah,
but still, that's
I love an intermission. I think movies should bring back the intermissions, especially Dune Part 2. Holy shit!
Oh, another important thing that happened was the continuation of music being released by big artists continued. So we had Taylor Swift this week release. Can you even pronounce the title? Not pronounce it. Do you remember what it's called?
Something poet.
Wait. Oh my God.
You don't even know it.
Department of Dead Poets Society or something. Tortured Poet Society.
You know what?
Whatever.
Every time
she's not that relevant.
I think we're like out of the woods and safe, she drops another album.
I know. So Fiona Apple, she's been around since the 90s. Guess how many albums she has? She came out in the mid 90s.
5.
That's actually correct.
Yeah, I know music.
What?
Yeah. I have taste, Alex.
No. Okay, well, anyway, she waits She's typically between 6 to 8 years between albums.
Mm-hmm. You had to leave the audience hungry for it. You know,
Yeah.
You want to be missed and have them craven for it, not just here's another one. Here's Death by a Thousand Cuts.
Another one.
30 track album.
She's released like 8 albums, including the re-recordings in the last like 5 years. It's ridiculous. Like that is too much. And she's also continuing with this whole slow girl pop out theme. Like, where are the hits?
Which is what everyone's doing. We're not even getting like a summer bop.
No.
But are we ready for it?
I don't think we've deserved it. Like, what have we done as human beings besides nominate Trump to the Republican Party?
And that's why we can't have nice things.
Yeah. You know what? Go pop girls, let them be boring because we don't deserve it.
Yeah.
We don't deserve it.
Well, you give it just another couple of fortnights and we'll have another Taylor Swift album.
I know. There's always one around the corner.
I'm dying over here.
Why?
Because I've listed off like 10 Taylor Swift track names that you haven't caught it.
How would I know? Oh, Death by a Thousand Cuts. Okay.
Death by a Thousand Cuts, Out of the Woods, Ready for It, Fortnite.
You could have continued tonight, wouldn't I?
That tells you how much we love Taylor Swift.
Love, #1 fan.
So what's your commentary on this album? You like it? You don't like it?
I haven't given it a full... I've listened to a couple tracks. The one that I was looking forward to the most was the one with Florence and the Machine, just because...
Love Florence.
And also it's... she's one of those artists where you have to really sing to be able to keep up with her. So, and famously, Taylor Swift doesn't have the range. So I was interested to hear what kind of song they were going to release together. And they did sort of a mid-tempo, which is what I would thought was going to be released.
I was kind of excited about the track with Post Malone, only because I love Post. And it was...
Mid.
Yeah, very mid. Could have... Yeah. Anyway.
I'm sure Kim Petras will drop something right before the summer to save us.
God, we can only hope.
Yeah. Oh, and Troy and Charlie, they just announced their tour dates. They're going to be in San Francisco, October 20th. The tickets are released April 26th. Really excited to go.
Did you sign up for the pre-release?
I might be able to get it through Spotify. Okay. So I will patiently await. We will be there. We'll be queer. I hope there's like
we'll bring
theme.
The poppers.
I hope there's a theme so people get dressed up. I love that. Like a really easy one, like champagne or rose-colored gold.
Okay. What if they don't let us bring poppers?
They will. I'll DM
It'd
Troy.
Be homophobic.
Yeah, I'll DM Troy and he'll be like, I will put a stop to it. Don't worry. That's my Australian accent.
All right. Well, to our next segment, we are continuing shit we found online. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
All right, let's do it.
So mine is just kind of an interesting thing. I was looking at changes in population growth. I'm always concerned about where people are going to and why people are moving to certain places.
Okay.
No surprise that Florida is taking in a large amount of people from other states. Very shit town.
They're also losing a lot of people too, though.
I think that Miami is losing a lot of people.
Yeah,
but
the bluer areas are bleeding people.
Exactly, and it seems like these pocket retirement centers are turning into more long-term family-oriented cities. But I was also interested to see the numbers in California. Still bleeding out, but San Francisco in 2023 actually increased in population.
Nice.
But New York lost almost 80,000.
It doesn't shock me. The housing or rent prices are out of control.
Well, yes, but I feel like every other gay person and a half is moving to New York. I feel like a lot of people are leaving San Francisco and LA and going to New York. So it's surprising to see that it's 80,000 people left in 2023.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like a lot of gays that we've met or that even ones I follow on social and stuff, they are moving to New York. There's 2 that are really big on TikTok that I just saw move from LA to to New York, which good for them.
Yeah.
So my thing I found online this week is an article on Queerty, and I wanted to get your take on this.
Okay.
It's titled "Are K-holes and Rave Culture Ruining Gay Nightlife?" And I want to get your quick 60-second opinion on this.
So I will say that if you have a friend that falls in a K-hole, it does ruin the mood.
Really?
It scares me because I feel like I have to step in. But I will say that a K-hole, unlike almost anything else, doesn't last that long.
Yeah, they snap out of it eventually.
Yeah, so within 15 minutes movement, within 45, they're out. You know,
they're not like all scary and zombie-like with some of the other things either. It's just
no. It's not zombie-like or anything. They're still very much functioning for the most part, but getting them to move
is a challenge.
It
actually is funny because this article does describe them as zombie-like, but I don't agree with that. I mean, I think they just seem pretty docile and might be like swaying back and forth and stuff, but like you can talk to them or engage with them. I don't know. They're not like spooky, I guess is what I would say.
Yeah. There are worse things that you could be.
100%. 100%.
And also, you have to do a lot to get a fall in a K-hole.
Well, what they're arguing here is that like basically no one is dancing, that they're all just disassociating and standing around, and thus the dance floor like isn't a fun place to be anymore.
I don't know if you were with me, but Horse Meat Disco 2022 New York.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, but I don't know if you were with me or if I was with Thomas at this time. But I remember I was dancing. This was like past midnight. And there was a really cute guy, and I thought he was looking at me. So I went over to talk to him, and it was very apparent that he was on ketamine because he couldn't really respond. Yeah. It was very delayed.
And exactly.
It was very deliberate talking. So, and I was like, oh, like, okay, cool, bye. Like, I will say that aspect can sometimes be ruined. You can't really talk to someone that's under the influence.
But I don't really feel like it's ruining like
I don't think it's ruining it
or anything.
I will say I think it's presenting a new challenge.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to move through a crowd.
It is hard to move, and it is hard to engage with people. So I guess I don't know how many people are still trying to talk to people at parties.
Not me.
Yeah, I know.
I just shove them out of the way.
I know. That is a very interesting aspect that gay parties are becoming clique based. Like,
I think they've always been.
I feel like it's more so now. Like, here's a clique, there's a clique, and unless they're like within the same tier, like influencers or something, like they're not going to be interacting.
Yeah. Well, I want to come back to this. I think it'll make for good conversation in another part of the segment.
Yeah. So we went to New York about a month ago now.
Yeah.
So the reason why we kind of took some time to have an episode on New York is because I think there's just so much going on in New York constantly that you kind of have to like sit with it for a second.
And like, what can we say that's new about New York that hasn't been said?
Yeah.
But the girls are asking for it. I keep getting the messages of, when are you talking about New York?
Yeah.
We're talking about New York today. So.
Yeah. I mean, New York, you flew in Wednesday night and I got in there Thursday morning. We've stayed at the Standard, which honestly, so underwhelming. I hate the layout.
Yeah.
Particularly the bathroom. The toilet is on one end and then it's not connected to the shower, and the shower has no door.
Exactly. And you have to get like a middle or higher tier room to not have to see your roommate like showering naked.
Yeah. And
which I mean, no offense if it was like someone else, but I really don't want to see you naked.
I think you are afraid that my beauty would arouse you.
Absolutely not.
And we're talking about like
you did clog the shower drain with your body hair though.
No, I didn't. Shut up. But you originally were supposed to be like in another floor, and you're like, no, we can't be at that floor because
no, I stayed there the first night and the club upstairs was booming. till like 4 a.m.
But also, like, aren't there other rooms where it's like completely it's like glass?
Oh yeah, like the lower tier rooms, the shower is right up against the bed and it's floor to ceiling glass and they have no like partition or anything.
Yeah.
Which if you're like a couple, that's fine. But if you're like two friends traveling together, again, like I'm not trying to like stare at your ass cheeks while you're showering.
Yeah. And then when, like you were saying, there was like the first night you stayed, there was a bar that was like bumping all night.
Yeah, Le Bon. Yeah.
So
Just a very
funny.
dated hotel. I've stayed there like over 10 years ago and it honestly hasn't changed at all, which for in the city like New York, where you have so many people coming in and out of it, like
And competition
and just the foot traffic.
Yeah.
Right. Like you got to be renovating that every like 4 or 5 years, I feel like.
But there really isn't too much on that area.
No, the like meatpacking Highline sort of area, which is a really popular area and saw a lot of development, like I said, 10 years ago or so, around the time I first stayed at the Standard. But ever since then, it seems like it's kind of slowed and there's not as many like new hotels popping up. I mean, what's the other one you wanted to stay at that?
I don't remember what it's called.
Soho House, which again, no one's staying at Soho House. So it's just like everything is sort of dated, it feels like.
Yeah.
I mean, we would have loved to stay with our friend Mike, but he has 1 bathroom and for 4 people, that's
too much. No,
it's too much.
And we probably wanted our own alone time as well.
But okay, so what were your thoughts on New York this time?
I mean, I always love New York. It's always going to be a great time. There's always so much going on. I will say it was my first time coming in this in March, and it was it was 30 degrees.
Not just that, but the torrential like rainfall and wind was horrendous.
Yeah, it was I was so happy that I live in a place where it's cold, but it never gets below 50 most of the time. And it never gets above, it stays in a very small window, and I'm happy with that. I don't want to ever experience 35-degree wind.
Yeah,
it's cold. When it rained the following day, it was sideways rain.
It was sideways rain,
and it was just kind of miserable. You can't do much. Getting into a cab sucks. Going from place to place sucks.
Yeah.
And then especially in like New York where traffic is like horrible, you're never going to be dropped off like right in front of a building. And so you're just going to have to like run for it.
Yeah. I'll tell you what though, I was glad to not be in fucking Williamsburg.
Oof, West Oakland.
The last time Alex and I were in New York together, we had stayed originally in the West Village. And then for the last night of our trip, because we were going to go out to Horse Meat Disco, which is out in, is it Queens? It's either Queens or like...
Yeah, it's Queens.
I think it's Queens.
Yeah.
We decided we would like give Williamsburg a shot and check out Brooklyn because we had never really stayed in that part. And it would just be easier late night to go to this party. And as soon as we crossed the bridge...
We're like, I think this might have been a bad idea. Although I think at the end of I was happy to be home earlier because although it was 30 minutes from the venue...
Yeah.
Or hotel,
it made sense for the party.
It did. It made sense, but do I need to go?
Do it again.
Yeah. Don't need to go again. And this time, I mean, I had a great time. There is like, you always feel more important in New York.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if it's because
it's the energy.
The energy's different. Like servers are mean, so you have to be mean too. But it's just like a different energy. There's a lot going on. You know that
the hustle is in the air.
It's in the air. I felt like I should be doing something like.
It definitely feels like a city of like limitless potential that just, the next big win for you is around the corner kind of vibe.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, it takes a different kind of person to be able to live and thrive in New York. Like, not that I'm not motivated or don't have grit, but holy shit, I could not do that every single day. I don't think. It's exhausting.
In what aspect?
Just everything. It seems like from the moment people get up, which is also insane, feels like everyone gets up at like 4:30 or 5 a.m. to hit the gym till 2 a.m. at night or the next morning. They're just grinding, gym, work, parties, just nonstop. I think I honestly, I couldn't do it.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a lot. I would get so much FOMO too. There's just always something happening.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think gays have a lot of FOMO in general. And me in particular, I definitely do.
Yeah.
And in a city like New York, it would be really hard for me to say no to things all the time.
I mean, there's always something going on. Like LeBain was popping on a Wednesday night.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've been back for 3 or 4 weeks now.
Yeah.
And I think I'm just now recovering from it. So
yeah, for real.
I can't imagine living there year round. So we did a lot of different things in New York on this trip. What were some of the highlights for you?
I think the 2 highlights were the first dinner on Friday night.
With the big group?
With the big group. So we went to a pizza place, very traditional pizza spot, huge portions. And we went with a really big group. Mike, he had like all his friends coming. It was probably 10 of us. Mm-hmm. We saw his brother. It was just a very family vibe.
I was so distracted during that dinner because I just got my nails painted this holographic silver and I couldn't stop staring at them. But anyway, I digress. Continue.
No. I mean, I think that, and then going into Mike's place for the pregame.
Yeah. The house party was cute.
Yeah. And then also I just like completely forgot that people don't start going out until midnight there. Yeah. It's almost a very European like.
I love that everyone was wearing black.
Oh yeah, there was a video that was recorded, and every single person was wearing
a black t-shirt or black tank top.
Everyone. I mean, it's I guess very gay of us, but
I feel like a lot of people had on gold chains too.
Yeah,
it's just Guido-ish, the gay Guido look.
Yeah, I mean, all of us are cut from the same cloth, so we're all gonna be thinking alike.
I had a bunch of good memories from that trip. I liked the Friday dinner. I liked the Saturday dinner more.
The intimate one?
Not because of just like the company. It was great to meet Mike's friends, but I loved just that restaurant in general. I think it was Bobo in the West Village. And we had the truffle croquetas.
Oh, yeah. Really good.
Yeah. Fantastic. And the espresso martini I had was really good as well. And the other thing I really, really loved is we got to hang out with my friend Raul.
Mm-hmm.
And so for the Velmas, I have a friend, Raul Delara. Raul's a Mexican-American artist that is New York City based, and he does like sculptural woodwork. And it's just really cool. It's his career seems to be taking off, and we got to see his new studio at 4 World Trade Center.
Yeah.
And I was just so amazed to see some more of his work up close and to show you guys his stuff.
It's also like the space and the sculptures, stunning. It was, wall-less ceiling, glass, so you get to see this beautiful view, and then you have like these beautiful wooden sculptures that are just
scale
stunning.
Of some of them. Some of them were like really small, like a foot or 2 high, and then other things were like giant, 9 feet tall. It was really, really cool to see his work.
Yeah, really interesting. A lot of cacti and sort of like plant-based.
Yeah.
Really amazing stuff. He's super talented.
Isn't it amazing to see someone with that sort of inherent talent? I wish we had some of that.
Yeah, I'm just really glad. Yeah, me too.
I walked away inspired. I'll say that.
I started sculpturing as well. I think it's just so interesting to see someone with a very unique vision and like seeing it also become successful for him.
Mm-hmm.
Really great. And then also like you had other artists. It's very clear that his vision is different than anyone else. You had an entire floor and no one was doing what he was doing. So it's very unique vision. And I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, awesome to see that. So what else about New York?
Got to see some, old friends from Merced.
Yep.
Also doing well out there, and I got to hang out with her, get brunch with her, hang out with her.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
It's nice.
Yeah.
And we spent a lot of time in the gyms, it felt like.
Yeah. So this was the first time that I worked out at the Equinoxes
in New York.
Because
you go here.
Yeah, I go here, but I've never been to the New York ones, and we went to 2 separate ones, one at the in Meatpacking and the other one at Greenwich Village. The Meatpacking, regular Equinox, steam room, gym, whatever. But the Greenwich Village one,
whole nother animal.
They had warned us that it was very cruisy, and it was totally cruisy. Can you explain to our listeners what cruising is?
Yeah, I'm trying to think about how to succinctly say this. I mean, in the traditional sense, cruising is when someone would go into like a public space, like it might be like the woods or a certain restroom, gas station, that kind of thing, to look for fairly anonymous sexual encounters.
Yeah, I would say it's cruising is the act of being in public looking for sex in public. And it is there's history in the gay community of cruising because...
Yeah, and understandably so.
Yeah, so in the 50s, 60s, I think that's probably when it became popular. I mean, it's always been popular, but during that time, populations were growing. It was not acceptable to be gay. So people would go to these areas to look for sex, and they would look for certain signs from other individuals that they were interested. I think the most familiar or classic example of, that someone's interested is the gaze. Like someone stares. The gay gaze. There's a specific stare. Someone looks at you and it's like...
Is it the way you're looking at me right now?
No, I'm looking at you with disdain. No, but it's like a certain view where it's like, it's almost like they're trying to kill you with their eyes.
Mm-hmm. I've heard you're supposed to maintain eye contact for like a couple of seconds, and that like signals.
I get scared when I think I'm just like used to getting yelled at. Mm-hmm. And so when I get that stare, I'm just like,
Yeah, I would be terrible at cruising, honestly, because I'm a little socially awkward and I'm generally not trying to make eye contact with people. I'm also pretty oblivious to what's going around me most of the time. I'm just in my own little world.
Yeah. I don't have the guts. I don't have the guts.
That's absolutely true.
I would never, ever, 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 ever have sex in public. I'm so afraid of getting caught. Like, what if they said, sorry.
You never had sex in public?
I've never had sex in public.
Ever? In any remotely public spot?
Do you know of a place where I had sex in a public area?
It's kind of semi-public. Something involving a car.
Oh, yeah. And I didn't think that was attractive.
See, that's semi-public.
Yeah, that's true. Oh my God.
So public sex is definitely not a thing for you.
It's definitely not a thing. I don't like it.
I don't think I'm against public sex per se. Like, I can certainly understand how the riskiness of it is like is hot.
And I've also heard I've spoken with like my coworkers, the women, they love
public
sex. They're like the
I
rush.
feel like the breeders are really into public sex.
And it's always like bathrooms and bathroom stalls. They're like the rush of someone.
Well, that and cars too, right? That's big in like pop culture, movies, etc. Not as demonized clearly as the gays butt fucking in the woods.
Yeah.
But the thing for cruising for me that isn't it is the anonymity. Like, I don't care about like anonymous sex doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm like not into it at all.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah. I'm not like, what if we're strangers? I don't care. Like, that doesn't turn me on. So we went to this gym, and what kind of behavior were you seeing?
Yeah, I mean, cruising is putting it lightly, I think, because that almost implies some sort of like subtlety or discretion.
It wasn't.
This was the opposite. I mean, this was everywhere you looked. You were meeting like direct eye contact with everyone. And whether they were into you or not, everybody was scoping every single male body in and out of there. And I remember one particular moment where you and I were trying to get down the stairs because they have different equipment on different floors. And we couldn't because this guy was walking so slowly down like maybe 12 steps and was actually like looking every guy that went past him head to toe and looking back behind him to see what they look like from behind. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It was like almost comical how slow she was moving.
Speaking of ketamine, like it seemed like he could not move down those steps.
Yeah, I was just like, and we couldn't go out of the way because people were coming up the other side. Oh my God, but it's just so obvious.
When we were in the locker room, there was a moment where I went to the urinals like after we had like changed, and a guy was about to put around a towel before he headed to the sauna, and his dick was like semi-hard, and he sort of like semi-helicoptered it in front of some people and then walked off. And I'm like, what is this place?
Like,
I've always heard this about Equinox, but like the ones here are much chiller. I'm sure the same stuff is happening, but it's definitely in a lower
It's not
volume.
happening at that level. Like Greenwich Village it was a lot.
It's not a gym.
It's not. It's just like it's a vehicle for sex. The gym aspect is secondary.
Yeah.
Did you ever get self-conscious while you were at the gym? Like, I sometimes get a little like a little like a piece of meat.
It definitely felt that way at that one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing to see someone who is like a lot bigger than you, more muscular than you, that can feel a little intimidating in the gym, or especially if they're doing like weights that are significantly higher than whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
But this was just crazy because you felt that gaze on you the entire time.
And I was really nervous because I was like, what if they see me fuck up my form right now?
I don't think they're focused on your form.
That, and also I was like the only person in the entire gym not wearing a specific athletic brand. Like, I was wearing old t-shirts cut up, and I was a little self-conscious about that. I felt so poor. I was like, they probably think that I can't afford Lululemon.
I don't think that matters.
But then also we went out when we were in New York, and it wasn't, I would say the vibe was even more hedonistic.
Yeah. I mean, we went to a number of different spots, some ones we had been before.
Yeah. And others we had not.
They were all, for the most part, like fairly standard gay bar experiences. Yeah. But this was the first time that we had gone to the Eagle. Yeah,
the Eagle here in San Francisco, I've gone for Young Hearts, and it's a fun vibe. It's like disco remixes. It can get, a little wild, but there's like a lot of space. The dance floor is tiny. Most of the venue is outdoor. So there's just a lot of room. At the Eagle in New York, it's very much red light. 2 dance floors, 1 big dance floor at the bottom, and then there's a second story.
I think there's a 3rd floor too, but we didn't go to it.
It was closed off. It was like outdoor.
Weather shit.
The second story is just entirely a dark room.
Yeah, long bar and like 2 dark rooms flanking
on either side.
It was an interesting vibe from the moment we walked in.
So you were sober. I was not.
I was sober, which was an interesting choice, I will say. But from the moment I entered, everyone there seemed really fucked up, and not like drunk fucked up. Just they'd clearly taken a bunch of substances. They were acting weird and like kind of aggressive from the beginning, which again, when you're sober, is a weird environment to be in.
They felt like they were on V from True Blood.
Yes, totally.
Or remember the club in True Blood?
Yeah.
And it's just like everyone's kind of very hedonistic. It's almost like people are like craving blood.
Yeah, they're ready to rip heads off.
Yeah, that's how it felt.
And it's always weird for me because this was similar to some of the parties we've been to, and maybe P-Town and other places, one in LA in particular, that it's a lot of the insta-gays you're seeing. So I recognize a lot of these people, and seeing the version of them at this bar versus the image they portray online is very different, and it's almost impossible to reconcile the two. So that was like very off-putting to me from the beginning. But the rest of our crew showed up, and we eventually got like our coats checked, and we went to the dance floor. And this is why I brought up the article earlier about is ketamine killing the dance floor, because no one was dancing.
Also, the music sucked.
It did. I
think people stopped dancing because the music was awful. And I'm going to say this. I do not like red lighting on the dance floor. It's scary. It ruins the vibe. It makes me feel like I am a monster and I shouldn't be here. Yeah.
So the music, before we went, Mike's brother actually described it to me as unrecognizable house music.
And it's so true. 100%. Unrecognizable house music.
It was like the elevator music of dance music.
Going to hell.
Yeah. And I 100% agree with you on the red lighting. I think it's because it's supposed to feel like sexual or something, but it doesn't. It makes me angry. Yeah. and it makes me like really anxious and ready to leave.
Yeah. And it's just, there's something off-putting about a red light. I don't like a red light. It's weird. Yeah, it's scary.
Did you really see a lot of like sexual activity even going on the second floor?
I saw a lot of dick grabbing. Yeah. And then we were also in that corner for a time next to a go-go dancer who was a porn star.
Yeah.
And then that area came like, it was like a drug deal going on.
It seemed like people were actually too fucked up to be like doing too much sexually. Yeah. So that was like an interesting vibe. I have to say, I did not love the Eagle.
Yeah. I think the way we're feeling, like the vibes were just not.
The vibes were very off.
Yeah. I mean, it gets me thinking like, what is your relationship with sex like?
Well, I think it's different and it's evolved.
Yeah. How was it when you were like coming of age?
Or like when I was single, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, I was into it and, you know, wanted it like every other young male, but I've never associated or identified with the part of our society that likes this very sketchy, like dark room, weird music kind of vibe. Like that is just not for me. Like, I want to be in a, you know, more calming space than whatever that was at the Eagle. What about you?
So I think my relationship with sex is kind of weird because like I grew up in an environment where I feared gay sex because of the stigma around HIV and STIs. Mm-hmm. So I think growing up, I was always kind of told like gay sex means
equates to death.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. So I was afraid of sex for a long time. I didn't lose my virginity until I was 19. And that first experience.
You say that like it's like 36 or something.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I hear you when, you know, like, when you're the 17-year-old on Grindr, like when I was 17, I would never, not because I was just too afraid of having sex. I was too afraid of, still am, but, but it's just like, you know, it was such a different, time, even 10, 20 years ago, especially concerning.
Do you think that plays into maybe like your, disdain or lack of interest in public sex?
I think it has to do with shame.
Yeah.
Right. Being seen, like having sex with another guy.
And having others see that.
Yeah. And having other people see that, like, you know, that's embarrassing.
Yeah. Whereas others, I think, might wear that as like a badge of honor or pride.
I'm sure straight guys would, you know, love to be seen fucking, you know, this girl, that girl,
which I
whatever.
do understand that angle of it, of like, we've faced so much, like oppression, etc., social stigma, that like being able to just like let your freak flag fly in semi-public spaces. Like, I totally understand that part of it. You've mentioned before that you've felt bad after hookups.
Yeah.
And do you think that that's also driven just to like those feelings you had when you were younger, that you feel some kind of way about sex?
I think that so I'm trying to remember the last time I felt bad, and it was right where it was 3 months after I had broken up with my boyfriend of 6 years. It was my first time having sex, and it was someone that I met through an app.
Someone you catfished.
Yes, exactly. No, we went to Eagle here in San Francisco, and we saw each other.
A trend.
I know, full circle. And then I just remember, you know, going back to my place and hooking up, and it just wasn't, there was no chemistry. It was very transactional.
Yeah.
And so, you know, after it was done, he left. I just felt like disgusted with myself. I was anxious for some weird reason.
I think that's the part about the like semi-anonymous or anonymous sex, is that there's just not like a lot of connection there. There can be, right? Yeah. Like you could meet someone and physically and just whatever like the sexual dynamic is, like there be some kind of chemistry there. Yeah. But for me, like I need more of a connection than that, to be enjoying that experience. There's nothing about the completely random thing that would do it for me.
Did you have hookup apps when you were single?
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you, do you think that hookup apps count as cruising?
No, because it's not public sex.
It's
irrelevant. Like if you have sex in public, that's different.
Yeah, I mean, cruising doesn't necessarily have to be public per se, right? Because you could meet someone and then like veer off into a less public space, but I don't think that the apps count as cruising because you're getting like information about someone and you can sort of have a conversation, which I think is typically not the case.
I think in cruising, it's like the rush of seeing
of the now. There's no like planning and showing up or
like,
any of that.
Are they gay or not? Like I have no idea.
Exactly. So I definitely, even before apps, there were a bunch of sites that you could meet people on or search for places.
Were you on these sites before the existence or the popularization of hookup apps?
Oh, for sure.
How old were you? I'm really curious as to this question. And I have law enforcement on the phone.
It was probably around the 17-ish range, maybe 16. Maybe 16.
Okay, we'll take 16.
But I remember there was Adam for Adam, which I can still remember the noise to this day, and I wish I could have it as like a text tone.
What did it sound like?
I can't describe it to you. It's kind of this like robotic sort of like,
not unlike Grindr?
No. Oh my God. Can we pull it up? I don't know. I'll have to find and send it to you. But
so when did the noise come into play?
It's like when you would get a message or like some kind of alert.
Okay. I remember, so you would have it on your desktop?
On your desktop.
Did you have your desktop in your room?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I remember that one was a good one. There was also Manhunt. Manhunt might still be around. I have no idea.
It might be an app form because it does sound familiar.
Yeah, that was a major one. There's another one that I liked a lot that I cannot remember. But I remember even before that, there was like the AIM chat rooms and like threads and stuff that you would have conversations with. I'm guessing you didn't really meet up with
websites. No, I never had a website for hookup or anything. Was like Adam for Adam and Manhunt, were they geography based?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And you would have like a profile and you could lock photos.
Oh my God. Can you describe what you had as your profile? Was it a picture of yourself?
Yeah, I think it was just like me in like a pink button down polo Ralph Lauren Oxford.
So gay. That's so gay.
All my photos back in those days were very clean cut and decent. I wasn't revealing any.
Like you are now.
Yeah, I wasn't showing any of the goodies online.
You got to give them something to imagine.
No, look, at that age, everybody wanted that little Twinkie bod.
Can you explain to me, like when did you, like, what was your first hookup like?
I think it was around 17.
Okay, wink.
Oh, actually, you know what?
14.
It was 17 with 13. An 18-year-old at another high school.
Oh, okay.
And he was hot. He was on the football team.
How far away was he?
Like 30 minutes.
Oh, 30 minutes. Okay, so you guys met on what website?
We met on one of those. It might have been Adam for Adam. I can't remember. Actually, I think it was one that was a little more geared towards dating.
Did he message you first? Did you?
Yeah, he definitely messaged me first. This is like a crazy story, so I don't want to get like too deep into the weeds on it. But like we we tried to hook up. It wouldn't go in. It was too big. And we didn't know enough those days of like
what
to do. And it was not happening. So that was my first hookup per se.
How did you feel afterwards?
Gross.
Yeah.
I think I similarly had a lot of the same feelings that you had
about STIs and HIV.
Yeah, more just that whole thing.
What did you do to like calm yourself down, get those feelings?
I don't know. I think I probably just talked to my inner self, and I'm very logic oriented. So I think I'm pretty good at like calming myself down in the situations if I just take a minute and like think about it. And I probably also just blasted some Lady Gaga.
Did you drive to his place?
Yeah, I think I would just blast like Money Honey, and then I was filling my oats again.
How long did it take you to get back on? Like, did you guys continue talking, or were you?
We did. I mean, that relationship spiraled. He ended up being like crazy.
Oh, okay.
And so yeah, it just went. It comes like full circle years later with another friend who also had interactions with him, and actually, I think he's in prison now for like arson and stuff. Crazy, but yeah, it wasn't probably that much longer before I started. Actually, I think even when I was dating him, I was still on all that because like I wasn't looking for anything serious in those days. I knew I wasn't getting a boyfriend per se. I wasn't going to have my love Simon moment for sure.
Exactly.
So you never like met anyone off that kind of site?
No site. I remember in my freshman year of college that there was a website. I think it was called Real Jock.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I think it went under right after.
That one was more of a forum based.
Yeah,
right?
It was more of a forum. So I wasn't like, I mean, I talked to people, but it definitely, I think
the creator of that worked out at our gym in Atlanta.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. But that was the closest thing. Yeah. I didn't like my first hookup with anyone was through Scruff.
Oh, wow.
I mean, classic me.
Yeah.
And it was like some hot daddy. I was so nervous, like freaking out.
I'm sure it didn't last longer than 10 seconds anyway. So
you're giving me a lot. 10 seconds.
Pump chump over here.
Yeah, 2 pump chump for real.
I know you well.
And now that I like the place, his place was so nice. It was in Santa Barbara.
Nice.
And yeah.
Wow, you went far for some.
Well, I was going to school.
Oh, okay. I thought you were from her side. I was like, holy shit.
No, can you imagine? No, I went to UC Santa Barbara.
Okay.
Next question. Did your parents ever talk to you about sex generally?
No, I never got to talk.
I never got to talk either.
See, this is the thing. I think that like parents that claim they like don't know, or at least mine did, they do. And I think
just didn't want to talk to you about it.
And that's why they don't have the conversation.
They're like, he's not going to need it, and I don't know how to talk to him about gay sex, so he's just going to have to find it out himself.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what they would not have been able to talk me through that.
Yeah.
Do you think that the birds and bees talk is necessary at this point?
Yeah, I think so. I think parents should be talking to their kids about sex at around 5th grade.
Wow.
When puberty starts.
I definitely remember by middle school, people were already dabbling in a bunch of things.
People were being weird. I remember in middle school, like, definitely.
Which is so gross to me, by the way.
Third base was happening, especially by 8th grade.
Yeah. And I see kids of that age now, and I remember back to those days that we were doing those kind of things. Yeah. I'm just like, ew.
I remember thinking I was so, like, old. Like, yeah. Do you remember when Marnie on Halloween Town was like, Mom, I'm 13 years old. I was like, yeah, like when she's 13 years old.
When 30 felt like dinosaur
I know. And then now look at you.
Have you ever been catfished? Oh, wait, I know the answer to this. Why did I ask that?
Yes.
Wait, this is a long story though. So can you give like the TLDR?
Wait, I don't know. Oh, wait, no.
Is this a different one?
This is a different one.
Oh,
this is a different one. Because that one wasn't a hookup or anything.
Okay.
I was catfished. Oh my God, Colby. It's so classic me, and you're gonna also want to fucking kill me. So I was at Davis. This was like 2015, I was single, and I think it was Grindr. And this is why I fucking hate Grindr. There was some hot person on the grid.
Was it just a torso pic?
No, face and everything.
Okay.
And it was like a Middle Eastern guy. He looked really attractive, but not so attractive where it's like, it would like raise any red flags. He just looked like a attractive Middle Eastern person. Messaged, we were messaging. I was like, I was probably really, really single at that time. So I remember being like so nervous. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get it in, whatever. I decide to go over to his place. I get there, and he opens the door and it's a Middle Eastern person, but it's not him.
What does this person look like?
He was ugly, but not so ugly where it's like this person should be catfishing someone.
Okay. Was he even remotely as fit or anything as he was portraying?
This person is like clearly went to the gym, not as fit as the person on
was
the
it
app.
Possibly him, but older photos?
No. It was a different person.
So what did you do?
I hooked up with him out of pity. And you know what? Though? I just got him off, and then I couldn't get it hard.
Wait, say that again. You got him off. What does that entail?
I jerked him off, blew him, and then as soon as it was done, I was not hard. I was like, I know this isn't him.
You put your mouth on that.
Yes, Colby, because I was so.
Was his dick attractive at least?
It wasn't ugly.
Was the dick he showed you? On the
I don't think we did not exchange that information on.
What did he say to you?
In person?
Yeah.
He kept the lights off, but I could tell it wasn't him.
Oh.
Yeah. I was so disgusted with myself, and I was so mad at myself because I always get myself in situations where everything would be easily solved if I said, I'm not doing this.
If you just set boundaries.
Or if I was just a regular human being and was like, hey, this isn't cool. Like, I'm going to leave. But instead, in order to avoid any conflict, I went with it. And that is why I hate Grindr. I will never download it.
You should talk to a therapist about
this. I'm like Ella Enchanted where I can't say no. I can't, man, I'm so fucking...
You would be catfished and go through with it.
I went through with it.
I was catfished once by a significantly older person.
Oh.
And the photos were definitely not them at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I would always meet people in a fairly public space because I'm not trying to get murdered. He showed up in the parking lot of like a coffee shop and got out of his car. And I was like, oh no. And he like confronted me about it too and was like, oh, well, I thought if I showed you like the real photos of me, you wouldn't want to meet up. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. How that works.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what people need to hear. Catfishing is not okay. There has to be some sort of sexual chemistry. Yeah. And if you are not that person, guess what? There are plenty of other fish in the sea just as ugly as you are.
Yeah, this shit is not Love is Blind.
Yeah.
I understand that you might not get a fair shot if you're like a nice human being, whatever, but that doesn't give you the right to use fake photos or photos that are not of you to try to, engage and have relationships or hookups with people. That's not okay.
Yeah. God.
I want to ask you about another site. Did you ever use Squirt?
No, but I see the logo in my mind. It was like red. Right, with a black outline.
Ooh, I don't know about that. I thought it was like a little, like the little
white
water drop kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that was on there as well.
Okay.
What was it?
Squirt, which I don't know if it's still around, but it was a site where you could find cruising spots or hookup spots. So people would just add popular ones on there, and so it wasn't like Sniffies, right, where you sort of see, I think, real-time stuff going on. It was more just like the bathroom in the Macy's on level 2 kind of thing.
So it was like a forum rather than like a map.
Yeah, well, it might have had a map component.
Like, how did you know that you were at the same city? I think it was
kind of built like Craigslist, where you would like drill down into like a city and like a neighborhood kind of thing, and then it would like give you a list of spots, and people would like uprank it or not, or provide like comments.
Oh, how do you know if someone's there now?
I don't think you do. I think it's more just this is like a trending spot. So it was kind of bringing old school cruising to like the digital frontier, where it's like instead of someone needing to tell you about where like a popular cruising spot is, this would tell you where. And because people were upranking or downranking it, that kind of told you this is like a trending spot or not.
I see.
So you never used that one?
No, did you?
I think so, around like the 17, 18 range. Just curious to see like what places that I was already going to that were popular. But
did you actually go to them?
I think I might have, but I never I never like cruised anyone, or I'm sure I was cruised now that I think about it, but I don't think I ever cruised and I definitely didn't engage with anyone at any of the spots. I do know that one of the spots was on my college campus.
Oh,
which I
feel like that would be like if you're going to go to any of them, a college one at your college would probably be like the best fit.
Well, apparently it was really popular with one of the particular professors, and it was like on his floor, and it was in one of the bathrooms. And I remember other guys would say they would go to it, and I'm like, that's so gross. And he was not attractive looking.
Ew.
Yeah.
How did that even come up?
You would meet gay friends or gay folks on campus, and they would tell you their stories about it. But I think he had like blow hour or something. I know you and I have gone to like cruising bars together, like in Europe, where we've just done like a little stroll. But
yeah, when I was in Barcelona in 2015, when my Circuit Queen days started, I went to a bathhouse because I was in a room through Airbnb, and so like my host was there, so I knew I couldn't bring the guy I met from a party back to their place, and he was staying with his family.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a one night only where he was going to be in town. So we're like, what can we do? And we found a local bathhouse in Barcelona, and that was my one and only experience.
And how was it?
I hooked up with him.
Oh, you did hook up with him. So
I did hook up with
you
him.
cruise them or they cruised you?
No, we had met. So like we were at a dinner, and it was someone's mutual friend.
Oh, is this a friend of the guy that I've met?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he was Latino, but he was like with his family. He lived in Europe. His family flew out to Barcelona as like a place that they were going to meet up. And
wow, look at you.
He came out to dinner. Yeah. And then we went out to like, some circuit party that was going on, and, one thing led to another.
And to pump jump.
No, I was good. I was being good at that time.
Okay.
I was a good top.
Yeah, I think that bathhouses have probably done away with a lot of cruising per se. Like, there's safer spaces, but you do have to pay for it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever been in a bathhouse?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I've oddly been with friends before too. One, we used to go play like Mortal Kombat at the arcade in it. Yeah, it's a long story. Just after the bars. What? After the bars would close, because like we weren't like ready to go home, we would go play like Mortal Kombat.
What time would this be at?
Like 3 a.m.
And this is gay friends?
Yeah.
Oh.
It wasn't a sexual thing at all. But bathhouses don't really do it for me. Like the smell alone. The
chlorine?
Yeah, the chlorine bleach kind of smell. It's just gross. It's not for me.
Yeah.
And the bathrooms are always reminiscent of the first Saw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just dark.
And also just like,
you're like, why is this chainsaw in here?
Yeah. And why? It's just like weird because like the lights are turned off, and it might be clean, but you're not going to know. And
it's
so you just imagine the worst.
I think they just have like an open bucket of bleach, so you smell that and you're like, oh, it's probably sanitized. It isn't.
And there are like body parts just hanging from the ceiling. And you're just like, I guess that's normal, but you have no other place to go.
Yeah, for sure.
So I asked you about how your relationship was when you first started like exploring sexuality. How had that changed when you came out?
Well, I mean, I think a lot was happening, right? Because we talked about like having to look at sites, and that sort of switched to apps, and there was like even more information accessible.
Yeah. When did that become like more popular, and when did you download it?
I honestly don't remember. I mean, I think it was
early 2010s.
Yeah, maybe like 2008. I'm Googling it, like when 2009. So yeah, I probably got it around then, because I think people were starting to ask on the other things like, oh, do you have Grindr? So that was even more information at your fingertips and more easily accessible, because you weren't just like trying to, like, it sort of kind of combined cruising and all these other sites that you need to actually be at a desktop and like come back to it, and they needed to be at a desktop. It was all like more real time, and you could find someone who's looking like right now, right?
Yeah, I didn't really put that together. Like prior to Grindr, like you did have to wait. Like when you're out of school, go back on to the desktop. There was like a break in conversation versus Grindr where it's very instant.
Yeah, it was more real time because you wouldn't just, you would get like an email message that was like hung top, you know, 90 messaged you or whatever. And then you'd have to go and respond and wait a day or two for them to come back online. So a lot of wasted time and inefficiencies with that.
Definitely.
Then you fast forward to basically real time. And not only that, but it's triangulating based off of your GPS location. So it's not just like, oh, you're in Atlanta, Georgia. It's I'm 500 feet away from you.
Right.
So that was changing the dynamics a lot. And that's when I probably started to have more hookups and go on dates. I mean, I was always more date oriented. And we talked about this. Like I was in the Bible Belt South. I had a very traditional view of relationships and sex, honestly. Of course I did hook up, but I was always sort of looking at the age of about 18 or 19 at that point for like, okay, I'm going to date someone.
Did you feel like you had to not hook up with people to keep your social capital up?
What do you mean?
Like, did you feel like if you hooked up and got around that you were going to be less desirable to people?
No, I mean, I think there's a natural part of being like males that I think we kind of, it's sort of like validates that feelings in ourselves, right? Of like, oh, this person wants to sleep with me. I must be attractive, especially if they're attractive. Yeah. But I think it's a completely different environment than what we're seeing now, where like sex is so publicized with Twitter and alt Twitter and OnlyFans and all of that, that it kind of feels like if you're not having sex a lot, that you're not attractive and wanted. And so I think there's an increased desire to feel like you're having sex and having sex with the right kind of people all the time.
Yeah. I think I've noticed that as well. Like, I feel like we've gone from a place of hooking up to a place of actively publicizing who you've had sex with, and through like alt Twitter.
It's like a leaderboard in a way. And the thing about it too, we've talked about perception versus reality, and it's, who knows like the timing and cadence of all of that either, right? Like someone could publish like 5 videos a week and you're like, man, this person's having a lot of sex, but that could have been over like 3 months.
Right.
But it's creating this perception that if you're not having sex all the time like that, then you're not the stud.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I think that's leading to a sort of it has been leading to a lot of like emphasis in sex in the gay culture.
Yeah. And I mean, gay clubs, especially something like the Eagle, has always been known to be like a hotspot for people to hook up and cruise and have sex in. But it's almost like when you're there, no one's even having fun. They're constantly just like looking around for that. And if they're not engaged in that, they look like they're miserable the whole time.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's like when sex becomes toxic, right? Is you can't even be at a bar, the Eagle, with your friends because you're just looking for your next catch.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's when sex is negative. It's toxic.
Yeah. If you would have asked me several years ago, I would say, 6-7 years ago, back when I was in Atlanta, like my view on these people that are like getting railed every night, multiple times a night, and in the club and all that, I would have had a really negative view of them.
Yeah. I can totally see you, Amanda Bynes, Easy A.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, I have definitely progressed and become a little bit more open-minded and dealing with that of like my own sort of shame around sex, some of the things that you talked about. But at the same time, I don't think I'll ever be at the level where I am going out to parties knowing that I'm going to get railed in front of 500 people.
Well,
never say never.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I saw you last week. I'm just joking.
That's more your thing, honestly. You would be in the sling.
No, maybe
grabbing your ankles.
No, you'd be the one in the sling. My shoulder would be in your butt.
You have a big shoulder, so I hope not. You'd be like flexing it too.
And just tilting it. There is... I won't even get to it.
No, go ahead.
No, there was just Bob the drag queen was telling a story to someone how she was hooking up with someone, and the person that she was hooking up with was like, "Can you put your both of your hands inside of me?" And eventually, Bob says that the guy told her to clap. She was joking.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, I know. Oh God.
What about you? Like, again, we talked about, you know, your sort of early experiences with sex and being catfished and all of that, but what are your views on it now?
I think not totally unlike yours. I think I've gone from a position of being afraid of sex and like, worried about, all this stuff, how I come across, to just like enjoying sex. Like, I love sex. It should be a part of everyone's relationship. But it took a while.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, we dealt with like we experienced some cruising and talked about, sort of the hookup culture in our community, and that we experienced at the Eagle. Do you think that there's too much emphasis on sex within our community?
I think that there is, I would say yes. And I say yes because I think that people expect to have sex, and when they don't get it, they get really depressed that they're not having sex with a certain person. And I've seen that one too many times. So I think that there is too much of an emphasis on sex. I think having sex is great, but I think, like with anything, sex can become toxic when you become addicted to it or you rely on it for serotonin. Yeah.
And I think the apps haven't helped. We already have sort of a need for this instant gratification. Yeah. And we've talked about, I think on the last episode, and maybe dabbled in it in some others, about just sort of the social capital of sex. But a lot of these people treat it like Pokemon Go.
Not even, I mean, yes, I remember, like, including myself, I'll include myself with hookup apps, especially. I could get, 500 messages, but it didn't matter if the person I wanted didn't message me back.
Yeah, if it wasn't the level 42 Mewtwo.
Yeah, if it was, I wanted the Charizard.
You were saving your Master Ball.
I wanted the Dragonite.
Yeah, no, I totally feel you. And, some people might say, oh, you're sex shaming, which good. Some of these people need to be shamed, I would say. But look, I'm positive, or I'm supportive of people
having sex.
Yeah, for sure. Like, there's nothing against having, but to what you said earlier, I think it's that sometimes too much of a good thing is too much of a good thing.
Yeah.
I also wanted to ask your opinion of unprotected sex and the amount of that seems to happen these days.
That's a difficult question. So I think everyone that is sexually active with more than one partner, whether that be you're single or you're in an open relationship or, something in between, I think that you should be on PrEP.
Yeah.
I think that you should try to also use condoms. Now, do I think that people that don't use condoms should be like ridiculed? No, because it's gonna happen.
I do.
Really?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh. No, I totally see the appeal. It does feel better without a condom. That's just plain and simple. But I think that you have a certain responsibility that if you are having multiple partners and unprotected sex, you should be getting tested regularly.
Yeah, I'm not a prude about it. Like, things happen. And
I've done it.
I've done it too. I think the thing about it for me is that HIV came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it wasn't years until we knew and the damage was done and it was too late. And there's nothing to say that something like that won't come along again. And it doesn't mean we need to necessarily live in fear and, not live our lives. But, all of these people that we lost should not go to waste. Like, we should have learned something from it. And we have access to great resources that allow us to make better educated decisions. Mm-hmm. And it may not, stop the next sort of HIV, but we should do what we can to look out for one another. Yeah. And it doesn't mean you can't have fun and do all the things that you want to do, but I think we should make a concerted effort to, like, again, take PrEP, use condoms most of the time, or at least with people that you don't have
a super close relationship with.
Yeah, and not being super transparent about like testing results and things like that. That's sort of my take on that.
Yeah.
So obviously, we've been talking about just sort of the like very sexual nature of our clubbing experience in New York and the sort of like implications to that within gay society. But do you think there's anything like good or redeeming about sex in clubs and venues?
I think that providing these spaces allows people the ability to be comfortable with sex and allows them to have sex in an environment where it's where other people are looking for it as well. Because I think that a lot of times people are too nervous and scared to kind of go about it their own way. And so like these clubs provide that space for them. It gives them that outlet to have sex.
Yeah. I mean, I think I knew people when I was younger that weren't out and they couldn't be out to their roommate. Like they met their roommate on Craigslist or something random like that. And they knew that person was not going to be comfortable with them being gay, but they were already in their housing situation. So they would actively have to like, it's the can't host kind of thing. Yeah. So I can understand where a venue or like club allows people to go do that. I think it's a little bit harder for me to imagine that in 2024, especially in Manhattan, but I imagine it still happens.
Definitely.
I also think that it probably creates safety for some people too.
Yeah, I think that they're, especially with like the more kink side of stuff, like people are into certain risky sexual behaviors.
You can just say you.
I'm talking about like people who are into like more bondage play, more just aggressive sexual behavior.
Yeah. There
are clubs for that. There are hookup scenes for that. And everyone is, they're consenting to it. It provides that avenue for individuals who are into that and want to experience that in a consensual manner.
Yeah. And sort of a safety in numbers kind of thing too, that if you haven't, you should read Bathhouse. House is in German. Have you read it?
Is it the gay horror novel?
It's kind of a gay horror novel.
Okay.
Have you read it?
No, but I remember you telling me, I think you said you really liked it.
I loved it. I mean, the writing is not great, but it's actually entirely about the subject matter we're talking about.
Oh, really?
And it's a pretty addicting story. I think I finished it in like under 36 hours, but you should check it out.
But you don't have like that high of an IQ, so I feel like I need something a little bit more juicy to stick my teeth in.
Maybe you should stick with the Bible.
Yeah, I think I'll do that.
Well, it was great to chat with you. Talk next week.
See ya.
Hey, it's Colby and Alex here. Thank you for listening to No Notes.
If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to follow us wherever you get your podcasts and share with your friends.
You can also follow us on Instagram at No Notes Pod, one word, where you'll find updates on new episodes and see more into our lives and the stories that we share with you on this show.
Your support means the world to us. Until next time, keep it real and keep it queer.